Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday live stream. We got a lot of things to cover, so let's just jump right into it. So first of all, just like the title and thumbnail suggest, it looks like Canada is going to have some issues with Trump and tariffs. Now, every time Trump starts to talk about tariffs and do certain things, some people cheer for it, some people jeer it, some people don't like it, some people hate it, but it is what it is, and you have to be understanding what the market's going to do. I'm going to read this to you, but I want to be clear that the market, the big people behind it, know a lot more than what we know. So just because there is one piece, it doesn't tell the whole story. But this just came out about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes ago over on Truth Social. If you're not following Trump on Truth Social and you like to see what maybe things are happening, you might want to follow him over there. If you despise Donald Trump, then don't follow him. But I would just say like this, probably a good idea just to see what's going on in the grand scheme of things. So this just came out 30 minutes ago. We've just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, which I got to tell you, which is kind of odd because, I mean, he just sat down with the new prime minister and they were very chummy. Things are going along swimmingly well, and not so much. Difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years. Again, if you want to sound off in the comment section and tell me how correct or incorrect that is, go right ahead. On dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies. That doesn't bode well for the big tech sector, such as one that we're in, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the EU, which is in the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also based on this egregious tax. We are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada, effective immediately. Terminating all discussions on trade with Canada. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the U.S. with the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And of course, there's other things that you can take a look at over here. God, damn, there's a lot of ads. Yeah, forget what I said. A ton of ads there. So that's what's going on. So what does the market say? Well, so far, I don't know if the market is not aware of what's going on, but this is what we have right here. In the last hour or so, Bitcoin's actually gone up 0.2%, Ethereum 0.7, XRP 0.7. Again, this is over the last hour. Now, 24 hours, maybe somebody knew a little bit something, and you see a little bit of a dip, and that's what's happening. But the markets themselves, even in the traditional markets, S&P 500, I don't think that's right. Hold on. This is, let's refresh this. Oh, and there you are. So again, just because there is some negative news, I think there's something behind what's going on. It's the same thing when United States, it was revealed that the United States bombed Iran, those 3 locations. And everybody thought, okay, this is it. Even Bloomberg stated, okay, now what's going to happen is because Iran is so heavy into the oil industry, oil is going to jump up to $120, $150 per barrel. What happened after that strike? Well, it went up a little bit, but then it went down amazingly fast. Again, some people know what's going on. So when I take a look at this, I myself, okay, tariff is going to be bad. However, I think that over the long haul, somebody knows that there's a back channel with Canada. They're probably talking about it right now, and there's probably already a resolution, but who knows? So let me know what you think about that in the comment section, something to keep an eye on. And then also, unfortunately, nobody's thought down talking about Trump and Canada. There's some interesting developments with the macro, GDP and inflation. So this is actually over here on Market Watch, and it looks like PCE year over year, which is what the Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve take a look at as far as inflation metrics to say, okay, what is happening with inflation and where are we going? Well, you can see right here, last time PCE year over year was 2.2%. The expectation was it was going to go higher at 2.3, but it came in at 2.2. That's great news. So it's not going up and it's not really going down, which is a bummer. But at least we're not going higher as massively as what Jerome Powell thought we're going to go with all these tariffs. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the long run, but that's just the PCE year over year. Then if we take a look, though, and this is where it gets a little tricky, the core PCE index, where we take out all the volatility, such as energy and food, stuff like that. When we see that, the core PCE index, last time it was 0.1, expectation was 0.1, and actually we're at 0.2. Year over year, same thing. Last time, 2.6%, expectation was 2.6, and 2.7 is where we're looking at. So this doesn't bode well for the argument that if inflation does go up, Jerome Powell and the Fed Reserve and different bankers and the heads of those operations, they are not going to vote for a cut in tariffs. Because when you cut tariffs, when you cut the rates, the Fed funds rate, when you cut the Fed funds rate, that means that it is inflationary because it makes things a lot easier. So if they go ahead and cut, what's going to happen to inflation? It's going to go up. However, there's another wrinkle in that, which is what is called GDP. So the gross domestic product was actually out yesterday. We didn't cover this. But the GDP, the second revision, as they take a look back and go, oh, that data is a little bit off. I know some people say, all this data is fake, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters to Jerome Powell. And if it matters to Jerome Powell, it's going to matter to you for your bags, because you're going to say, well, why aren't we cutting? Or why should we be cutting? And it's because of this. So GDP came in, it was negative 0.2%, which was what they thought it would be, or what the last time was. 0.2% was the expectation, and we actually got negative 0.2, but the revision is negative 0.5. What does that mean? It means that the economy is not doing as well as it should, and they actually should cut rates, because it makes loans and lending a lot easier when the rates aren't so skyrocketing high. And if they can do that, and again, this is just the federal funds rate, that doesn't influence 10-year, 20-year, 30 years for mortgages and things like that. But for business types of loans, it will. So if we have something like this, there's one side that's saying, look, we know you don't want stagflation. Stagflation, we don't want to see people unemployed as it goes up. We don't want to see GDP go down. We understand these things, and jobs, they don't want to go down. However, if GDP is going down, you should cut rates. If inflation is going up, you should not cut rates. Now the question really becomes, is this, what nuanced and how careful will you look at this, and which one is the biggest factor? Anybody's guess, but I can tell you, as far as like the CBOE, it looks like they're going to cut rates later in the year. We'll see if that actually comes about. If that happens, all markets will run. Anyhow, let me just think about that in the comments section, and that will take us to midnight, which was, there's an airdrop coming up called Midnight. And I know a lot of people on Cardano are really excited about it, but it's not just Cardano. It should be, if you hold Bitcoin, if you hold Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Binance, AVAX, and BAT, you should be excited about this, because you're all eligible for this. All you had to do was have $100 in any wallet that you own in any of those cryptos, and you're going to be eligible for this token. Now, there are some nuances to it, and there's a lot of questions, and that's why I brought on my friend Big Pey, who's very active in the Cardano community. Now, it was a long interview. It was about 20 minutes or so. I'm just going to play you this first minute and 28 seconds, what we were talking about. And this is why, like, when I went through this and I hear about Midnight, I'm like, honestly, I was like, who really cares? But I think you're going to care about this one and what it can actually do. So take a listen to this. Again, this is about a minute and a half. Let me make sure you can hear this. And then we'll finish up with some Kraken talk and a little bit of meme coin stuff. Just take a listen. What is Midnight, and how does this integrate with Cardano?
Sure. So, the way I look at, all of the blockchains in the top 10, they all have kind of different trade-offs. There are different choices in design, and that's what's led them to be in the top 10. They're unique. And, I believe that Midnight has a unique set of trade-offs that could lead it to be in the top 25, very quickly, or even the top 10. And because, if you look at, Bitcoin, the big take was decentralization. We need this decentralized database that, no government can control, or no government can attack. And then you look at Ethereum, and it's kind of a little bit of a step back, but it's still very decentralized, and it added smart contracts. And, I think Cardano really pushed, the ecosystem forward too, as well, with, launching the best proof of stake chain, in my opinion. And it really, it's in line with Bitcoin. right? It's a high focus on decentralization. They just launched on-chain governance, and I think Midnight is somewhere between Cardano and Solana. It's a different set of trade-offs, but it also adds unique utility to the table. And the biggest thing that it's adding is privacy. Nobody wants their transactions to be seen. If I donate to Rob's stream or I give him a tip, I don't want him to know how much holdings that I ultimately have. And if I'm doing business with another party, imagine they know how much we have on our balance sheet.
Right.
For example, they'll be able to kind of pull more out of me, or maybe even be able to push me in the wrong direction. So that really is what Midnight is bringing to the table.
So look, again, when I was thinking about it, especially as we talk about all the different wrench attacks and the different hacks that are going on and all those different problems, when Pey talked about that, I go, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to release this tomorrow, the entire video. He's going to talk about the things you should be careful about as far as claiming this, because it's not so easy. It's not really an error. It is an airdrop, but you have to connect wallets, and we want you to be safe as possible. But again, I think it's important that we do these private transactions. And now some people say, why don't you just use Monero? Or why don't you just use a mixer? Why don't you just use this? Extra steps. That's why. If I could do something where I can just pay for a little bit and then send somebody some funds from my Bitcoin wallet, my Solana wallet, from my Litecoin wallet, or whatever else it is, and people don't know exactly how much I have, because it's very easy. All you got to do, I don't know if you guys know this. Most of you do, obviously. You just take in the public address. You can put it into any chain explorer, and I can see how much Bitcoin you have. I can see how much Solana, Fartcoin, whatever you got. I can see it all. And that's the whole thing about what Midnight is trying to solve. And I can see why it could actually be in the top 50, 20, who knows? So I'll release that complete video tomorrow. I want to say, Peyton, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. And that will take care of the Bitcoin and Midnight. And now let's talk about Dog, or Bitcoin Dog. This is very quick. I talked about this the last week or so, 3 or 4 days. And just so everybody's aware, it launched on Kraken. It is, well, first of all, it's a rune. It's on Bitcoin. Does everybody know what that is? Probably not. So what I want you to do is, I did a video about this. It's like 5 minutes and 33, something like that. 5 minutes and 57 seconds long. I explain why I think it could be very big. This was 7 months ago. So there's a link in the description. You can check that out. But just so you know, it's listed on Kraken, the first centralized exchange to list Dog. And as a reminder, I've been talking about this since it was 0.0026. And as of 7 hours ago, it was 0.0048. So double. Does that mean I want you to put your life savings into it? No. And it's tough that I have to actually say this to remind people, because there's always going to be some in the comments is like, well, you told me this or this or that. Look, listings on a centralized exchange is extremely volatile. Long run, probably do great. I don't know how, let's see. Right now, it's down 10% from its high, but that was for the last 24 hours or so. So we started up, what is today? 20, oof. So we talked about it down here. Then it came up here, listing, and it's dropped a little bit. So just so you know, things are happening on there. But again, if you want to find out what that is all about, why I think about it in the long run, check out these videos, or this video, in the description. And lastly, Kraken. It's listed on Kraken. I want everybody to know right here and now, Kraken is now the only centralized exchange I use. I dropped Coinbase about a month ago or so because of their data breach, where the hackers now have my address. And they know how much crypto I have, and they know the last 4 of my social and my bank account and all that stuff because, hey, Coinbase. So I'm moving with Kraken. I just talked to their head of development, and this is what the offer was. So there's an affiliate link in the description. You're going to get $25 for signing up. Now you have to spend around $100 on there or so to buy something, whether that be Dog or Bitcoin or whatever else you want it to be, but you get $25. And that was the deal that we came with. Why am I so impressed with Kraken? First of all, it's available pretty much everywhere. It's in 190 countries. It's easier to tell you where it's not allowed, which is Russia, Crimea, Luhansk, regions of Ukraine. It's not allowed in Iran and Iraq, Libya, Sudan, Cuba, and the Republic of Congo. Everywhere else is pretty much, it's allowed. Why am I such a big believer in it and Kraken? Look, it's because if you have Coinbase or you have Binance US or KuCoin, whatever else, you know they're going to go down during a massive bull run. So you should always have as many different exchanges that you have to either on-ramp or off-ramp, I think. Now, this is still me taking these, using Kraken, but putting it into my cold storage devices, also custodial services with iTRUST. And this is how I'm diversifying my cold storage. So I'm not leaving things on a centralized exchange. Let's make that 100% clear. But I am using them. They've been around since 2011, 190 different countries, 207 billion in trading volume. You can buy and sell 429 different cryptos. You can do my favorite, dollar cost average, daily, weekly. You can do limit orders. They got a pro version. You can buy stocks, which is pretty cool. Microsoft, NVIDIA, MicroStrategy. You can buy Tesla, all that great stuff. They have proof of reserve, so you know that they're not just like FTX-ish. And then, of course, the big one is, well, what about the fees, Rob? Well, I was paying $30 a month. Actually, it was $20. I did an annual deal for Coinbase One. And you know how much they charge me? They charge me $4 or $5 a month or $50 a year for the same thing. And also, you're going to get access to airdrops. They actually have live support, and I tested this out personally. There's me talking to them, a real person, which was crazy. Links in the description. Click right there. And then, yes, it is an affiliate link. And you can just go right to Kraken and sign up, but you don't get the $25, just saying. And then lastly, I know someone in the comment section is going to sound off, and that's why we live in America, right? Because freedom of speech. You can say, Rob, you should never talk about exchanges. Didn't you tell me about Voyager and Celsius? I did, but I also told you to get off of Voyager 2 weeks before it collapsed. And Celsius, I didn't do a great job. It was only like 18 hours before it collapsed. However, during this time, I've been talking about the rules. Don't use exchanges. Don't leave things on exchanges, right? Centralized exchanges I've talked about: Coinbase, Binance, Binance US, OKX, Crypto.com, Gemini, iTrust. DEXs: PancakeSwap, Uniswap, Curve, Orca, Radium, Hyperliquid, Aerodrome. Cold storage devices: Tangem, Ledger, Tracer, Elipal, and hot storage: MetaMask, Phantom, Daedalus, Yoroi, Lace, and Xverse. So, yes, these things didn't work out. Other ones I did. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. We talk about it's time sensitive. That's it for Friday's video. Now, if you want to do a little Q&A, we'll answer all your questions to the best of my abilities, and we'll go from there. If you got to take off, take off. It's Friday. It's beautiful. Yeah, let's see what happens. All right. Yeah, it wasn't bad. 17 minutes. That was going to go a lot longer. Sequoia, you can trade stocks in there. It's true. Exactly. Unfortunately, I signed up for that like a week ago, and they're still reviewing it. So I don't really know what's going on there. They said it's just going to take a little bit more time. Maybe I'm on a terrorist list. I don't know. Going now. Thank you. Also, Dog was dropped in a free. And for a movement for supporting the Bitcoin ecosystem, no VCs. I got to remember that. Thank you, Seth. Kraken rules. Kraken's great. Hey, Ben's share. Ben's share. Everybody likes Ben's share. You can lead out runes as collateral. No other memes do that. Oh, I didn't know that. You can lend out runes as collateral. No other memes do that. Dog is priced in Satoshis and is secured by Bitcoin network. Not even close to the meme. I have to remember that. Yeah, Chris is right. I prefer to keep my Bitcoin separate from everything with many steps in between. Just so you guys know, me and Chris are not related, but he does say a lot of things that I totally agree with. So like, that's what me and Peyton were talking about as far as like this midnight airdrop. You have to connect your wallet. And when we talked about it, I'm like, what's the best practice there? He's like, look, he goes, if you have, 200 Bitcoin on a cold storage wallet, this isn't for you. You're not going to do that. Find a wallet, or you can move things if you really want to, but I'm not moving 200 Bitcoin. I'll let that slide. You must be careful with the wallets that you connect, even for this. Because I'm going to do it on certain wallets. I'm not going to do it on other wallets. I just refuse to do it. And if midnight pops off, great. But if I miss an airdrop because I don't want to connect my wallet to all my crypto, so much the better. So it was a good lesson to make sure everybody's on the same page. All right. Crazy Unity says, do you think Trump has done anything bad yet, Steve, or everything he's done is perfect? So I saw that there was comments in this, and this is what's going to happen for the rest of the next 3.5 years. People are going to talk about the president of the United States as a piece of trash, and other people are going to talk about like he's the greatest thing of all time. And most of us are like, I don't really care. Just make my bags go crazy. And that's really what it's going to be. We don't ban anybody here for like saying negative stuff. I mean, if you're a scammer, we will ban you. But for just a discussion like that, sure. Look, is Trump perfect? No. Is any president perfect? No. Should you trust them? No. Shouldn't trust any of them. Are there some things that he's done that are pretty positive? Yes. Has he screwed up, in my opinion? Sure. And I will say one of the biggest screw ups that he's done is he really screwed up, and I know people are going to love this one, for Trump coin and Melania coin and all that stuff. And people say, well, he wasn't a part of that. That was, his the Trump organization that his kids. Look, that was a bad look. And I really wish he wouldn't have done that. I'm hoping that he would go through with the Bitcoin reserve, the strategic reserve, and we actually add to that stash. But of course, we're not going to allow American citizens to use the taxpayer dollars to buy that. So it'll be other types of things. Maybe the revenue from tariffs. I'm not for sure. So just so you know, yeah, since the beginning of time, I don't know how long you guys have been around, but how many times have you looked at it and go, wow, 100% of America likes its US president? It just doesn't happen. That's just how it is. Hey, Rob, recap the NAMI wallet upgrade, please. What's Lace wallet? Lace is what I have currently right now. NAMI wallet, I don't know if it was sold to Lace, but what we're talking about is a Cardano wallet right now. And NAMI was folded into the Lace ecosystem. And now to use NAMI wallet, now it's just called Lace. So there's some steps. It's very simple to do. I'm not going to do a video on it. It's very simple. I know a couple other people have done it. But you just pretty much just port everything over. You don't even need the seed phrase. It just ports over, and now you have Lace. And that's pretty much it. So I've used it. It's okay. I'm actually disappointed in it because the Cardano native tokens, they don't show up on mine. I don't know about yours. Maybe you got an older version. But I updated it. I updated the wallet. I updated the browser. And it still doesn't show the native tokens as far as like the dollar value of what it is. It's just weird. So I'm like, I don't really like that. So I switched over to another one called, what is this called? Vesper wallet. So that's what I have right now. And I'm still Laces in the background. But Vesper seems to work pretty good. All right. Let's see. Did you check out Strike on Cardano? Only on-chain leverage trading. Profits go to token holders. Let's see. At some point, yeah. If I have 200 Bitcoins on a cold storage wallet, then I have someone else's wallet. It's funny. Is the 4-year cycle over? No. Remember, when did we see the all-time highs? November 2021. When did we see the all-time highs? 2017? December 2017. Also, I believe it was December or November of 2013. So if November and December come and go, we don't see, some all-time highs for the majority of the top 100 cryptos, I would say that we've got some problems. And maybe people are right. Maybe it just goes away. I personally don't think so, but I could be wrong. Let's see. It's really good to pay attention with birthrights. Rob and I are not related. I agree with what he says. It's true. Trump USD was the most egregious action on the part of an incoming president I can remember. Yeah, but how many are going to use that one? I think it's still going to be like Tether and USDC, which I got to tell you, if you got into the stock of USDC, you did pretty great. Let's see. Do you think we'll have a short-term pump because of the deal with China? Oh, yeah, that's another thing. So Trump comes out. Hold on. Let me just show you. Airdrop. Oh, what's this? Really big win, big day. Now this ought to be interesting. The morning. Birthright citizenship. Oh, this will be interesting. We'll see what that is. Where is the one about China? Well, anyhow, I'll just tell you like this. I can't find it. But yeah, it looks like Trump came out and said, looks like we've got to deal with China. And then in that the post that I put on X, underneath that, it very clearly says it's not a agreement, but it's a memorandum of understanding. So like every time I see something, I'm like, this is like the 12th agreement we've done with China so far. Is this really going to go through? And then there'll be another one. So it's not like it's signed, sealed, delivered, and it's in concrete. But this isn't about tariffs. Correct me in the comment section. I believe it's about minerals and these rare minerals that we need for production of different products. So great. Let's see if that works out. Let's see. I am not shilling dog. I understand it's not for everyone. Not what people understand. Yeah, thank you. Not wrong. Rob, you checked the social top indicators? I don't need to. Nothing has popped off. Sorry, chat, I came off cross. No. Let's see. Like and subscribe to the channel that has 353,000 subscribers for longer than Tether has been $1. That's true. It seems like I gain some, and then I say something that people just despise, and then I just goes down. Well, I'm not going to change. So, trade with China. Trade with China, that's good. Trade with Canada, that's bad. What happened to the guys that trade the chain? Their product just disappeared. Now I had no idea. It's a nice product, actually. You could get some kind of predictive of what the market was going to do and short-term price trajectories. It was pretty nice, but went away. Let's see. Nice camera, we can see you. Yeah, it's a new computer. Look at that. I'm almost ready to become a Bitcoin maxi after this alt season. I don't blame you. It's pretty brutal. Although it's not like every altcoin has gone away. It's just been, it just hasn't been the massive altcoin season where everything goes up. Now, there's been some different assets that have done quite well. We talked about this, gosh, it was yesterday, I think it was. We took a look at the top 50, and most of them were in profit, but it depends on when you took those profits. But I think there was 3 or 4. Tron was one of them, which go figure. Binance and Solana. I think there was one more, Pepe. Go figure. And that's just how, only 4. And again, of course, many other ones were profitable. It just depends on when you took the profit. I'm just saying if you accumulated in the bear market and then you held to this point, then of course this is where we're at. Because I don't think a lot of people sold during the last pop off around April or May. Altcoin season any day. I don't know. This is why, like, so here's the question. Here's a statement. Maybe it never comes. Maybe altcoin season never happens, right? If it never happens, then would it be so awful to get into Bitcoin and just make that the majority? That's what I've been doing for quite some time. Now I still buy some alts here and there, but Bitcoin is bought every day. I'm probably doing that for the next millennia. I have no idea. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, as long as you can beat the S&P 500, right? Which isn't that hard. Good things come to those who wait. My thoughts the same, probably close to a top near October, November. Wouldn't that be something, huh? And I think that's it. Grant says, stay close to Bitcoin Cash. You never know. We'll see. We will see. All right, buddy. So that's it for today. If you like today's video, give a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. What we talk about is time sensitive. And that is it for this one. Tomorrow, probably busy, but I will release that video with Peyton so we can talk. He can tell you more about the midnight airdrop for Cardano, Bitcoin holders, and Solana holders, and BNB, and all those other different cryptos, and some best practices. But looks pretty good. Anyhow, that's it for today, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate you, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.